Thank you, Minister. I'll start with pay equity, and I'm signalling that I've got questions around pay equity and then later on questions around health and safety, the areas that I want to focus in on. So with pay equity, I'm really wanting to look forward to what where we're going with pay equity, but I just want to ask a question going back to look forward, if that makes sense, because I don't think that we can understand where we're heading until I actually know how many of those 33 cancelled claims were at milestone 5, which means the contingency had been put aside. There had been an understanding that, or an agreement that there was sex discrimination or undervaluation due to sex discrimination. So the contingency had been put aside, and they're probably within 6 months of being settled if they'd got to that stage. So I want to know how many of those 33 claims were at that stage.
Oh, I thank the member for the question. I'm not the member responsible for any of the individual claims, and so I cannot answer that question.
So on that then, if you're not in that, when you were coming to make that decision around the changing of the legislation, would that not have informed you around the process that had happened so far? Would that not have been information that you would have had to have been put in front of you to help you make that decision?
The government did not make changes to the pay equity regime in response to any individual claims. We did it because we wanted the claims process to be more robust.
Okay.
So just to confirm, the contingency doesn't sit within your vote, correct?
That's correct.
No, but what I'm trying to get at there, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate that, but what I'm trying to get at is if you're making changes to the legislation which does sit within the vote of the Minister, then that information would inform those changes. So that would be information that would have had to come across, in my opinion, to the Minister, but the Minister says she doesn't know that, so she wouldn't have had that to make that information, to make that decision.
So happy to take questions. I'll come to you. I've got a SUP from Parma, and then I'll come to your primary. Just in terms of the...
Oh, no, I want to stop on this.
Oh, you're a SUP. Okay, I'll come to you after Parmjeet then as well. Jan, I'll give you an opportunity to ask another supplementary on this if you can bring it in relation to that.
I'm happy with that.
Happy with that? Okay, cool. Parmjeet?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, you used the word untargeted when you were talking about pay equity claims. Can you elaborate on that? Like they were becoming untargeted?
Sorry, Parmjeet, we can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Yep. So I repeat my question. So my question is about the term that the minister used, untargeted, that pay equity claims were becoming untargeted, and wanting to ask the minister to elaborate on that.
Yeah, thank you. So in many ways, the claim process that we have put in place through this government is reverting to a lot of the claims process from the 2017 bill that was originally proposed. But also, if you look at some of the claims that had progressed under the Labour Party claims process, there were claims that had up to 90 different occupations within one claim that went as far as hospital-based dental workers, people who were cultural advisors, wheelchair technicians, all within one particular claim. There were also, I think, the need to address the fact that, in some of those claims they had review provisions that allowed for non-sex-based discrimination factors to be considered, things like inflation, which I don't believe goes to the heart of the sex-based discrimination at the core of the Act.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tiana?
Thank you. I was just a supplementary to what Honourable Jan Telele was saying around pay equity claims, and I do get your point that it's not within your vote, but I do think that there is a duty of care that exists for the government to actually really understand what was happening right across those 33 claims. And just for the minister's information, I did put parliamentary written questions to 14 ministers who had portfolio coverage for those 33 claims. None of them knew what was happening until you made until you guys had that meeting in cabinet. So what that points to me was that there was a missing gap in terms of your process. So it's all very good and well to say, well, actually, it doesn't fall within my vote. Well, then, if no one's looking at it and looking at the actual individual impacts across those 33 claims, then where does the responsibility sit? Comments.
Well, look, I think it's really important to note that the government, and I've said this throughout the entire debate today, when we did the annual reviews, when we were doing the committee of the whole house process, that the government did not pass changes to pay equity because of any particular claim. We did it to improve the robustness of the system in general.
But my question is to the duty of care of people in those 33 claims. And if the responsibility doesn't sit with you or the 14 other ministers that have portfolio coverage, where does it sit in your government?
So if you would like to address questions that are specific to a specific claim within one particular agency, you should address those questions to the minister responsible.
I did. I put parliamentary written questions and there were no.
Thank you, Jana. I'm going to allow Jan Tinetti a final question on this, and then I think.
I don't want to answer the question. Next one, please.
Yeah, so, okay, guys, I hope you guys are keeping track, like what I said at the beginning. So one of the questions that she signaled that she would be able to answer was reforms to pay equity, right? In particular, they became untargeted. So if you're going to say that something became untargeted, right, you should be able to answer Tui Onal's question. He sent parliamentary written questions to 14 ministers who had portfolio coverage on this issue, and none of them could answer his question. So the question becomes, who is responsible? And she said, well, you need to ask the relevant minister. And I'm like, you are
Tell
the relevant
me who
minister.
the relevant minister is.
So what this tells me is that she didn't do any prior homework to find out how this was going to impact the 33 claims. She didn't go into detail about those 33 claims because her focus was on changing systems to make them more robust. But in actuality, what we should really be looking at is how much money has been saved as a result of doing this, right? We're talking about, let's see if I can get the exact number. We're looking at 12.8 billion over the next 4 years, right? That's the real reason why the pay equity claims were cancelled. And like Jan Tinetti said, some of them were like 6 months away from being settled.
Some were even closer.
Some were even closer.
Yeah.
So that's why she can't answer the question, because she doesn't care.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't care, or she doesn't want to be honest.
A bit of both, having read through these regulatory impact statements and things from the unions and stuff like that. Yeah, I've noticed of her that she is likely to dodge a lot of questions, right? She likes to pass on responsibility to another person. That is her in a nutshell. That's what you're going to see throughout the entirety of her trying to answer these questions. But this is not good enough because she has signaled that she is able to answer these questions with her opening statements.
So, if she continues that, maybe Brooke needs to be put on a PIP, Performance Improvement Plan. You know, quite often used to manage people out of jobs. Now, the great news is we did have someone who answered the question on behalf of the minister.
That would have been better than what she just said before. I didn't save the budget. Yeah, at least she would have been honest.
Yeah. Now, Roger wants to ask, are you going to go to the Wellington BHE meetup?
Tomorrow.
I think it's on Friday. Oh, no, Thursday. Is it tomorrow? Roger, can you tell us when it is? I think it's Thursday.
They said tomorrow. If it's tomorrow,
I can turn up tomorrow. That's fine.
Yeah, that's going to be a no from me. I'm busy on both tomorrow.
Well,
and
if it's
Thursday.
tomorrow, I'll make it there. I thought it was on Thursday, but that's fine. I can make it for tomorrow. That's all good. I can make things work. I'll even come in my It's in the Ballot shirt, and it's in the Ballot hoodie.
Ha! At least it'll be easy to find.
Yeah, well, especially when it's bright red.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's hear what the final.